So it's 2026 and you've decided that you want to move to Dubai. In this video, I'm going to reveal to you the step-by-step process of how you can do this so you can pay 0% income tax and also avoid all of the mistakes that cost other people thousands of dollars and months of time. My name is Vincent. Over 2 years ago, I was in the same position that you are in right now. I had a successful business back home and I wanted to move over everything to Dubai. But the problem was that I ended up losing thousands of dollars in the process and valuable weeks. So this is the exact video that I wish I had back then, and I will reveal to you things that consultants charge thousands of dollars for. Moving to Dubai allowed me to save massive amounts of money on taxes, expand my network rapidly, and also scale up my online business. So you want to watch this video until the end because missing just one step from this process can break your entire plan. So the first step that pretty much nobody talks about is the exit strategy. Moving to Dubai is basically useless if you don't exit your home country's tax system. You need to first understand tax residency rules, your day count requirements, and your economic ties. These are the things that will be crucial when it comes to being able to prove that you are a tax resident in the UAE and you are not a tax resident anymore back home. For example, in the UK you have the statutory residence test, and in the USA you are taxed on worldwide income unless you renounce your citizenship. So the best thing to do is to actually go on your government's official website and look up all of these things and study them. You want to download non-resident and exit guidelines and study them like your freedom depends on it. And then we can move on to actually getting set up in Dubai and making the move. So step 2 is the money reality. I want to skip all of the bullshit and give you actual figures on what is required to make this move happen. If you go the entrepreneur route where you're setting up a business here, sponsoring your own visa and so on, you're looking to spend like at least $8,000 to $10,000, including travel fees and all of that, just to get set up here. You need a visa, you need an actual business setup, medical tests, and also a bunch of government fees. So in my opinion, in reality, it doesn't make that much sense to move to Dubai unless you are making at least $6,000 to $10,000 profit every single month as an entrepreneur. Because if you're making, let's say, $2,000 or $3,000, then the expenses that come with running a company here and also just the cost of living is going to be greater than what you are paying in taxes back home. And what can happen in that case is that you will end up actually feeling more pressure instead of freedom. However, if you are making more than $10,000 per month as an entrepreneur, I think it's a great idea to do it. Or if you are able to get a high paying job here in your specific industry. All right, step 3 is the visa strategy. You have basically 3 main residency routes. There is a lot more out there, but these are the most popular. You have the 10-year or 5-year golden visas, which you can get through investments in, for example, real estate. You have the investor or business visa, and you have employment visa through your own company or by getting employed by someone else's company. What most entrepreneurs do is they actually end up setting up a free zone company here in the UAE and they sponsor their own employment visa through their own company. The biggest mistakes people make here are they either end up going for one of these super cheap visa options or one of these sketchy service providers and end up overpaying in fees over time or not even getting a proper visa at the end, or they do it in the wrong sequence, which can lead to rejections or huge delays. But don't worry, the system is actually really simple as long as it's done professionally and in the correct order. So step 4, you have business setup. In the UAE, there are 2 main types of businesses that people end up setting up. It's either a free zone company or a mainland company. This decision is going to determine your tax exposure, your compliance risk, and also your overall flexibility. As a rule of thumb, if you're running an online business and you're selling to customers outside of the UAE, any sort of digital services or products, you probably want to go with a free zone company. And if you have UAE clients, you need actual physical presence. For example, you're trying to open up a coffee shop, then you want to go with a mainland company. Now, this is something that is very case by case. So if you want help with this and figuring out which one would be the best option for you, then go ahead and click the first link in the description down below where you can schedule a completely free consultation call with me personally. And we will figure out what would be the best option for you. And even within the different free zones, because there is dozens and dozens of them, which one would actually fit your needs the best. Now, the reason why free zone companies are generally speaking a lot more popular, especially for expats, is because they are way faster to set up, there are far lower costs associated with it, and you can get 0% VAT on sales outside of the UAE. So for example, if you are selling a digital product or any sort of online services outside the UAE, you can actually charge 0% VAT in most cases. Now, I do want to warn you though that this part of this whole process is actually super crucial, because one mistake in this whole setup process can end up costing you a lot in fines, delays, or just extra costs that could have been avoided. And I also have quite a lot of people coming to me since I started helping dozens and dozens of entrepreneurs to relocate over here to the UAE. And also I had so many people reach out to me who set up a business with some random setup firm who ended up not being able to get actual banking for their business because something was not done properly, or it just wasn't thought out right. They didn't have the right strategy. So again, you want to make sure that this is handled professionally, especially now in 2026, since the regulations and the requirements are way tighter now than they were a few years ago. Right, now step number 5 is residency and the paperwork process. After you set up your free zone company, for example, you are going to issue the visa to yourself, and the first thing that you get is not a proper visa yet, it's going to be an entry permit. So then after this, you want to actually fly into the UAE, and then at the airport, you show them at the immigration counter that you have this entry permit. This is a super important step. And then after that, once you are physically here, you get your medical test done, your Emirates ID application, and then finally your biometrics. You only need to be physically in the UAE for this part of the process, but just setting up a company can be done from anywhere in the world. The timeline of this is only 5 to 7 days if it's done properly. Now, it's really important that you don't book your return flight too early, because until your residency visa is finalized and activated, you cannot leave the country. Now, after this, once you are approved for your residence visa, you have your company opened, then you will get your Emirates ID physically shipped out to your address here in the UAE. And once you have that in your hand, you're basically done, because then you can open up your personal and business bank accounts as well in just a couple of days in most cases. And then you can also take, local health insurance. You can also sign up for a mobile plan, and you can also rent an apartment long term. So basically you can do everything that you need to finally live here. Overall, this entire process of starting your company and then holding your Emirates ID in your hand and getting your bank accounts opened, if done in a standard process, can be done usually within 30 days or even less than that. And if you go the fast track route, then usually around 15 to 20 days or so. Then step 6, we have the living setup. As far as finding long-term housing, you want to use Property Finder or Bayut, but I can also connect you with one of my agent friends and they can help you find the right apartment for you. I don't recommend immediately renting a long-term apartment. Try out a couple areas first and see what you like the most. Now, something that's usually a surprise for most people is that here you usually actually pay with like physical checks for your rent, and sometimes some landlords can even want you to pay in just 2, 3, or 4 checks at most. Now, in some cases you can pay with more than that, but generally be prepared that you will need to pay at least like 3 to 4 months upfront for rent. As far as getting banking, you want to start usually with a digital bank like VO or Mashrek Neo, which is simple and fast to open. And then later on, you can also open accounts with the local banks here, which are way more established. For transport and lifestyle, you can use Kareem, for example, to just order in food and get taxis anywhere. Now, one thing that's huge here is that if you actually have someone local here that you can ask questions from about anything, can save you so much money and time. And finally, step 7 is tax optimization. So in the UAE, corporate tax is 9%, and this was introduced in 2023. However, there are still some key exemptions that can be relevant in 2026. For example, the Small Business Relief Program, in which if you have a company that does under 3 million dirhams in revenue until the end of the financial year, in the 2026 financial year, right, you can still be exempt in a lot of cases from corporate tax completely. And also the first 375,000 dirhams is still going to be tax-free. So you will only be taxed at 9%, even if you're not eligible for the small business relief, on the profits over that threshold. And also it's recommended that you give yourself a reasonable salary from the company because all of your income is actually tax-free. And aside from this, you can also further optimize your corporate taxes by having actually real and reasonable business expenses on your company and having the correct profit structuring. This is also something that we help all of our clients with, and we can usually save them a lot of money here. So now you know the entire process of how you go about setting up a business in Dubai, how you actually obtain residency, and then what are some of the main things that you should be aware of when moving here. Again, I think the biggest thing is that you should ideally be earning at least $5,000 to $10,000 a month if you are coming here as an entrepreneur and you are not getting a job here from a local company. And you should have 3 to 6 months of emergency funds saved up. So if anything happens, you are not going to be too stressed out about the finances. And again, if you are looking to get help with this entire relocation process, you want to set up a company, get your residency visa, and also have your company's accounting handled by me, then feel free to reach out. Over the last few months, we've helped dozens and dozens of entrepreneurs to relocate here to Dubai. And I started my company Peak Zone that's helping other people just like you with this process because I know exactly how stressful this can be if you don't have the right guidance and the right partner with making this transition happen. So I hope this video was valuable for you. Feel free to check out the channel for more free value like this, and I will see you in the next one.